human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. Human music. I like it. I like it. Human music. I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it.
And here we are, Monday, December 18th. It's time for another Rhev's Palaver. Hello, my friends, and thank you all for joining me once again this fine Monday evening. Hopefully no one was too upset about the fact that we didn't do one last week, but we did a rebroadcast of the previous Saturday's tattoo stream, which I thought was great. And thank you very much to Rock and Rage for the host. Let's go! Let me just real quick answer. Villa, it is a song called Human Music. You can find it on SoundCloud. I was given permission by the artist. You can find him if you search SoundCloud for Canty, God of Black Flames. He did a bunch of music like that, sort of retro synth, trip hop wave type music. And I got his specific permission to use that for free, which is nice for my stream, which is just awesome. But let's get right into the palaver, because I got a guest here who I know I can spend an hour or more chatting with, because just last Friday he was on the Drinking with Friends podcast and we had a great time. And after the stream ended, we ended up talking, and then I just said, I need to sleep. So without any further ado, let me introduce my guest, Inky. Inky, who is, you can find on twitch.tv. Oh, that should be twitch.tv/InkyTHZ. Inky, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing rather good. Today is a rather good night. It's kind of warm, which I really appreciate, considering I'm not a cold lover or winter lover.
Not a lover of the cold. Dude, I'll tell you something. It gets worse as you get older. Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. I like suffer a little bit worse just because like a few years ago I had a heat stroke, but
so the heat stroke makes the cold worse? I don't understand.
well, what it does, it kind of just ruins your internal temperature clock. So in the summer I'll be like a little bit more hotter than most people, and in the winter I'll be like more vulnerable to getting more colder than other people. So that's what it kind of does, unfortunately. And I got that from laying on the beach for too long and not drinking enough water.
All right. I didn't know that heat stroke could have long-term effects. Like, a heat stroke's very bad, kids. Don't get a heat stroke.
Yeah, no, drink plenty of water.
I thought it was your fiery Latino blood. Or as the South Koreans would say, black.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, yeah.
Do you want to share? That's racist. Do you want to share with everyone who might not have been around on Friday why I make such comments?
Okay, so on Friday during the drinking stream, I had talked about a little bit of my experience in Korea, and my friend's mom apparently had said, you know, it's either I don't know if she's like 100% joking or not, but she said it several times. She was just like, it's either you're white or you're black, and it's just like if you're any other color, you're black. Maybe she was joking. I don't know, but I was like, wait, what? She's like, yeah, you're black, and I'm like, whoa.
I guess she only sees things in black and white. Ah! Sorry.
Oh, that was a good one. From like that was time. I don't.
Well, I saved myself during the drinking stream for not making a terrible comment accidentally joking about that story. But I also found it funny that they were actually glad that you're black because white people. You told that they had very strong feelings about white people though, right?
Oh yes, yes. They view them as, from what I understand, you know, very beautiful. Like, I wouldn't say like master in the city, but they're like not just generally white people, more like towards the British side of things. They find, and like Emma Watson, for example, what I was told from my Korean friend is like their idol, like the perfect woman.
But didn't you say that maybe it was just this one family, they were glad that you weren't white because they think that white people
Smell like cheese.
white people smell like cheese. Let me just do a real quick thank you to Rock in Rage for the host, as well as Coyote. Oh my gosh. Wildfire. I can't type. For the host, thank you very much, both of you. White people. Now, I will say, as a white man, I love cheese, but I don't think I smell like cheese.
I think she makes that joke because her mom makes that joke because of the fact that white people love cheese, and they probably, like, she, in her mind, is just kind of like, they consume it so much that they're probably going to reek of it, you know?
Yeah, but who doesn't like cheese? I grew up in Buffalo, and I grew up in the city, and I had a diverse group of friends, black, white, Latino, etc. Everyone likes cheese, dude.
I don't like cheese that much.
I mean,
don't tell me to get off the stream.
I mean, I can understand if it's not your favorite thing, but I mean, who's gonna say no to a pizza, or who's gonna say I'll take a pizza with no cheese on it? Like,
yeah.
Okay.
No.
Let me put it this way: you come to my house, I'm making barbecue on the grill, right? I say, do you want a hamburger or do you want a cheeseburger? What are you taking?
Hamburger.
Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. All right. Never mind. I thought that was a no-brainer. I thought you were going to be like cheeseburger, of course.
Nope. It's just, for some foods, it's the texture that does it for me. Like mozzarella, I'll have fine just by itself, but like when it's cooked and that texture just, you know, kind of like hits my tongue, I'm just kind of like, you know, thank you. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It's just my Italian side of the family looks at me and they're just like, there's something wrong with this child.
I mean, I'm not going to say that last night I had a case of the munchies, so I went and got Triscuits and cheese and just ate Triscuits and cheese. I don't know.
I mean, you're living up to what my Korean friend's mom said.
I mean, it's not like I just sat there and ate a hunk of cheese. I mean, I was slicing the cheese into little squares and putting them on the Triscuits and nibbling. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, so you just had it very nice on a silver platter, fancy like.
No? If by silver platter you mean like a white saucer, and I was just sort of yeah. I guess you could. You know, but so let me ask you. So, what did you end up going to Korea for, and how long were you there? Tell me a little bit about this trip to Korea you took.
Yeah, I took a trip to Korea because I have a friend who's lived there for a year now, very close friend, and you know, she's coming back to the States in January, and she was just kind of like, "Hey, Alistair, my name is Alistair. Do you want to come to Korea for this month? Because then the next month we'll be packing and we can't really have a guest." And I was like, yeah, sure, sure. Like, you're willing to take me and you're willing to do all this for me. She's like, yeah, come, we'll do it. I'll show you around Korea. You can, like, see how the culture is like, all that kind of stuff. And that's really how, like, it started with me going to South Korea, not North Korea.
I think whenever an American talks about going to Korea, it's safe to assume we mean South. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
Credit card companies will be like, you mean South, right? Like, I've talked to, like, all my credit card companies, they're like, not North, right? And I'm like, obviously.
Obviously not North Korea.
Yeah. But yeah, she just, like, it was just random out of the blue. You know, her mom was like, yeah, bring him, I want to meet him. Because we've been online friends for quite a while. So, you know, it was also kind of like a risk thing on my app. But, you know, I took it, and, you know, it turned out to be a very great experience, experience that I'm extremely grateful for.
Well, travel is a really fantastic thing to do, especially when you're young and you have a lot more energy. It really broadens the horizons. It's something I tell everyone that I'm young. If you ever get a chance to do any traveling when you're young, it's a fantastic thing to do. My brother, so I have two. Well, okay, so I have two adopted brothers. So usually I don't consider them brothers because they were only adopted in the last few years of my recently. But I had two brothers, biological blood brothers, and one who I don't speak to anymore. But
Right.
he's insane, but he is an idiot savant when it comes to languages. Like, last time I talked to him, he could speak, I think, 7 or 8 languages. He could write in several. And one of them that he could speak and write fluently was Korean. He almost married. He was engaged for several years to a woman who was born in South Korea, and her family still lived in South Korea, but she was, in the process of becoming a legal American immigrant. He used to go to South Korea all the time with her, and he would always talk about how great South Korea is, and he wanted to move to South Korea and blah, 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 blah. But
I can understand that. I was kind of at the same page when it was time for me to leave. I was just like, let me go, like, live in one of those, like, comic book stores or something like that, in the arcade somewhere. I'm like, I got this. The culture there is really, like, how can I say this? Better?
That's fine. Give me some examples. Why do you think? I mean, first of all, I'm never going to agree with you because Murica. So there, I'm one of those guys. I will just be like Murica,
Okay.
and that's the answer. But that's a meme. So really, tell me what it is about the South Korean culture that you fell in love with.
What I really fell in love with was I was in Pyeongtaek, which I think it's pronounced Pyeongtaek, which is where the Olympics is going to be at, but I wasn't near that area. But I was there, and the family was telling me a little about the culture, and as I went around with my friends to all the small cafes and saw how people were, they were extremely generous. It felt, well, I live in New York City, so I mean, it felt much, much safer than New York City. Yeah. And everyone, I don't know, the vibe that the town that she lived in, just kind of, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, the environment was uplifting in a way. Like, everyone was polite, it was extremely polite and well-mannered. Like, I walk into a glasses store, and they're always about, making sure everyone else's, service is, well, everyone else's well-being when they're giving service to is, 10 out of 10. Like, these glasses are from Korea, and, for example, the guy was super friendly, he was super talkative, even though I couldn't really understand him. I had her and her mom translate for me, but when I came to get these glasses, the guy told me, these glasses have a scratch on the frame. We're going to give you as a loan, and you come back and we'll give you a brand spanking new frame. And in New York City, they'll just be like, okay, and then you wait for a new frame, like all rude and impolite. and I was keep onto your glasses, all that. They were like, no, you can actually use these new frames that and all that, and you say all that a lot. I just realized that. But they're like, here's the frames, brand new frames. You get new prescription, all that kind of stuff. Come back and you'll get your new frames. We apologize. Like, they were sincerely apologetic about having just like a little scratch in the frame, and I'm just like, it's okay.
Not that big of a... And do you have your sunglasses with you? Do you want to show everyone why your glasses are so cool?
Oh yeah, because I can like pretend to do the meme thing. Like, I can't like drop it, but I can just...
Oh, look at that. Dude, I gotta be honest.
Snap on.
This Saturday, I had to go and order new glasses. Well, as you know, on the Drinking with Friends on Friday, I was cleaning my glasses and they just broke. They snapped. And they were only like 3 years old. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, everyone noticed. Me, I'm just like, the whole time I'm thinking, you're just like really focused on cleaning your glasses. I'm a jerk.
Yeah. No, I was freaking out. So this pair that I've got on are like 8 years old. And I can't wait to get my new ones. They should be in hopefully Wednesday or Thursday. But yeah, I did. I smashed them, Christian. Smashed them. And anyways, what I was going to say is when I was at the glasses store, I was like, I'm going to look and see if there's any cool magnet ones and there weren't. There weren't. Their selection wasn't the greatest, but I looked. I did. I don't think I would have got anyways because I don't like the rimless bottoms, Oh,
they also had ones that, in Korea with the, rims too. It's just this one just seemed to be more appealing. For suggestion-wise from all like the staff, my friend, and her mother, and I'm obviously going to take their word for it because they're all about cosmetics and apparel and how they appear. So
someone mentioned in chat they were also 50% Italian heritage. Coyote Wildfire said he's 50%. I also am 50% Italian. My mother's side is Italian. Of course, the father's side is Irish and Welsh, so it really dilutes it. But yeah, my mom's side's all swarthy.
To grow back.
Your hair is a lot curlier than mine is.
No, for you. Like, I'm waiting for that. I saw like an older picture of you from like your and it needs to keep growing. You gotta have the mobster look.
Yeah, it gets super wavy. It gets that wave to it when it gets longer, but it's growing back out. I don't know if you know this. I shaved it for one of the Drinking with Friends podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, when I saw an older picture with your hair, and you looking like a complete mobster, and then I found out that you shaved it recently, I was just kind of like, what? No.
Well, so it was two things. One, I wanted my costume for Heisenberg from Breaking Bad to be appropriate, and none of the skull caps I was looking at on Amazon had any good reviews. And the other thing is, in the last year, I've lost about half an inch of hair, and you can probably see it's really thin right here now. Yeah, and I just thought to myself, you know what? Why don't I just shave it to see how it'll look bald? Because if I start to get really far back, I'm just going to shave it. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to do the horseshoe bald. I'm not going to do the weird thing where it's like my hair starts back here. So, I don't know. If it stops around here, I'll grow it back out. But if it keeps receding over the next year or two,
shave it. Just learn how to make crystal meth.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Actually, funny story. So my wife has been...
I can be your Jesse.
My wife has been really sick with the flu this weekend. And I asked her if I could get her some anything at the drugstore. So she sent me to get some NyQuil. And she said, get Sudafed. Get the good kind. You have to go and get it from behind the pharmacy counter. They regulate it. So I went to the pharmacy counter and I said, and I need the good Sudafed. And they go, what's the good Sudafed? I go, the kind that makes the really strong meth. They thought it was funny.
You did not.
They laughed.
Really?
They laughed.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, if that was said in the city, especially where like the district or borough of the city I live in, they probably would have been like, okay, stay here, gone to the back, call the cops, and I would have been arrested.
Well, so you have to show an ID and you have to sign a piece of paper saying you're not doing anything illegal for it. They have to put in your address. They have to see your driver's license, and they have to put in your address, and they track how much they sold of it to. I think one box of Sudafed they're not worried about. you know. And the fact I was also buying NyQuil and Kleenex at the same time, I think they were like, all right, this guy obviously is dealing with some sicknesses, so. I don't know. The Coyote's out of LaCroix. What a basic white bitch that Coyote is.
Oh, wow. Coyote.
He is. He is.
God forbid you're black either. I just read that part.
So speaking of Coyote, you are one of the hosts of the Prepare for the Mediocre community, right? And
yeah,
you're a relatively
I
new
believe so.
streamer, right?
Yeah. Yeah, on and off. So I call myself somewhat new. I am mainly a moderator, but I was, offered a host, I do believe, as well. So I am in the featured part as well. But I am just a moderator. Focus is a moderator with media intentions.
All right. And, well, I think you know... So I run the Proper Nerds community, and Coyote started up and runs and is the founder of the Prepare for the Mediocre, and he and I have created a wonderful friendship. Call it man love. I don't care. But
I thought it was bromance, but man love sounds more appropriate.
Yes, man love. Well, hey, listen, I kissed him right on the mouth, so.
I was not there for that. Where are the pics?
Yeah.
Pics or didn't
there's video, there's clips, so it's fine. But we love our sister community, PTFM. I use it as one of my 3 communities because that's how much I love it. And but you've just recently started streaming. How long have you been streaming on Twitch?
I want to say September, but it's probably been like a little bit before that. But my streaming's been very on and off, very chaotic due to real life things. So I'm always like, I want to say just maybe in the past, maybe like September-ish is when I actually really started to, but it's still on and off due to my schedule. So I'm still trying to get a handle of that. I'm still learning. Like I still have a lot to learn. So so about maybe that timeline, I want to say officially.
And you don't stream just one thing. You're a variety streamer, right?
Right. Yeah. I started with the focus of Final Fantasy 14, but and Dark Souls 3, but Dark Souls 3 became a big nope for me real quick when I got some trolls in my chat that were just going like off the making counts just to get back in and stuff like that. And 14 was just there's just not enough strong content for 14 to be the only thing you do, and it doesn't really bring in people to talk to that much, which is why I wanted to stream to begin with, is to talk to people on my downtime.
I noticed I played World of Warcraft for a long time, and when I very, very first got into streaming a little over a year ago, I was still playing World of Warcraft at the time. I noticed when I would stream WoW, no viewers. Like, none. I feel like MMOs are a weird thing where you either have to have people there who are there because of your personality, or it's tough to get people into big games like MMOs.
Yeah. 14 isn't even that big. It's just, I think 14 is, the community and the streaming department has a strong favoritism towards the top 5 on the road, or the top 4, whatever the top is. And they'll just stick with those people. They don't really want to go down and get to meet other people or talk to other people, And also, as you know, like if you're a very quiet streamer, it's because there's no one to talk to and you're kind of not, getting the flow of like talking to yourself, being entertaining fluently. You kind of just like, they pop in, they pop out, and that's very strong with the 14 community.
Yeah, well, it's a constant struggle when you're streaming to maintain a running commentary. And I know that there are times when I'm streaming and I'm just like, I haven't said anything for 30 or 40 seconds. I should probably say something.
Yeah.
And it's hard when especially if you're doing MMOs and you're doing a raid boss. It's hard to focus on what you're doing in game and also try to interact with chat. It's one of the reasons why I kind of stepped away from MMOs. I was like, I can't do it. I can't.
Yeah. I still love it. I still play 14. It's just streaming wise, I may not stream it a lot because it's just way too much of a casual game to, really have anything go on with it. I think you kind of have to have, I'm not sure how the big streamers got big on 14 except for one of them. But, it's just not a very good game to stream with. Like, you can stream, you can go at it for a while, but it's really a hit or miss. You gotta have like Lisane, a dogger, or possibly to catch the attention. You have to have something unique, which I feel like, including myself, that when streaming 14, I don't have that uniqueness to catch on. So not every game is made for someone to stream on.
Well, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
I will say it's hard to sort of find your niche. I will admit, and I've told Lisane this many times, I'm jealous of the way she can just flawlessly interact with her chat, and she just has this ability to just not stop talking. Like, it's hard. I don't care what I'm playing. I'll have times where all of a sudden my focus is 100% on whatever I'm doing, and I stop talking, and I stop reading chat, and sometimes it's only for 10, 20 seconds, but there are some people who just have that ability to, they're 100% focused, but they're also just self-narrating as they're doing it. They're like, I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking this, and I'm thinking this, and it's hard to get in that mindset. The only thing that you can really do is just practice, practice, practice. Just keep doing it. I don't know. Coyote's very good at it, too. I will say he's good at just never shutting up. And I know that sounds like an insult, but in terms of Twitch streaming, it's not. It's a fantastically good skill.
Also, his vocabulary is very unique, very strong, and that's one of the things that caught my attention. I was just like, he's using words that I haven't heard in a really long time, or that I don't know, and I want to go Google them now. New York City, where I live at least, I keep hearing the same bland words over and over and over. So just to hear someone speaking and and using creative words, I'm just like, okay, my attention's been caught. Same with you.
Well, so it's funny. My wife and I went out for dinner a few weeks ago, and we went out with Coyote Wildfire and his fiancee Shiki and Prodigious Cat. And the five of us went out and had dinner and hung out for about an hour and a half. And it was a lot of fun. And at one point afterwards, my wife said, it's so frustrating because all three of the girls went outside for a smoke/vape break. And she said, yeah, as soon as Shiki went outside to have a vape, I was like, I'm going to go too and have a cigarette. Because it's so frustrating to be next to you and Coyote when you two are talking, because you use all these big words. And I said, yeah? She goes, yeah, sometimes it's a little much. So we don't do it because we're trying to put on airs. It's just, that's the way that we talk. And she goes, yes, I know, exactly. That's the way you talk. It's annoying. Oh, sorry, baby. Sorry about that. I looked at her. I think my exact response was, do you need me to elucidate on the conversational narrative? And she's like, fuck you, I want a divorce.
Oh my goodness. I was just about to ask quickly, but you already answered. I was like, did she hate you? Just back up on the head?
I think any marriage, there's a certain level of hatred for your partner. Like, I love my wife.
I would assume so.
And I know she loves me. But, there's a little bit of hatred there. It's natural. It's normal.
I think there has to be. If there isn't, then, I think there may be, something wrong right there. Gotta have, a nice little balance of everything.
Yeah. Well, I think it's people. I don't know how everyone is, but every married couple I know, they fight. It's normal. And my wife and I have one big fight roughly once a year. Every 10 to 14 months, we get into a big fight. Like a bad one. Mm-hmm. And that's normal. Like, you shouldn't worry about fighting with your partner. It's how you deal with it and how you handle it and how you move on from it. That's what makes a relationship good. You know?
Right.
You don't, I don't know. I don't even know how we got into this conversation, but yeah, like...
It was just the flow.
Yeah, it's just...
Flow of things.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Coyote says it's not whether or not you love each other, it's how you handle the hard times, work through it, and continue on that really defines a relationship. Yeah. Yeah. Because you're going to have times where you're both in bad moods, and then someone says something, and then you say, oh yeah, like your mother, and then that's like the worst thing you could ever say to them, and then it becomes a whole thing. You know, what are you going to do? It's the way it is.
Hide. Just kidding.
Yeah. Sometimes hiding is good. Sometimes hiding works well. I don't know. What are you going to do? So you live in New York City along with a couple other streamers in the Proper Nerds Prepare for the Mediocre family. Sammy WQ, who's in chat, is a fellow New York City person, and Rinsler, and I think there's a couple others that aren't jumping to my mind right now. Have you gotten a chance to meet with any Twitch streamers?
No, not yet. Sammy and I will actually be hanging out on Wednesday at a barcade. So that'll be the first person that I met in the community. You know, from the community. She'll be the first one. And I think we're both excited about that, especially barcade. I've actually never been to a barcade, so I'm kind of like hoping it kind of brings back that old feeling of like when you were a kid and you went to not the bar, the arcade, and imagine a kid going into a bar. You know, just playing games with your other friends, being dorky. That was like the meetup spot, except for, you know, we're adults. It's not meetup spot. You know, we have our cell phones now. We can just call each other and stuff like that. And meetup, it's not the same, but, you know, the arcade games are there. So I'm excited for that. That was another thing. South Korea has, like, a lot of arcade games. A lot.
I mean, I miss the arcade. So as you know, I just turned 40. When I was a kid, that was like one of the big things, is going to the arcade. You know, you would, that would be the location. You would go and hang out at the arcade, and you would socialize with other people your age, and like you put your quarter up on Street Fighter, and I got next. But
I didn't get to experience that. The arcades I went to were very, very small, 2 to 3 arcade games available, like little booths. So they were small. So I really wish I got to experience that, which I kind of did in South Korea. But I was just like, I'm like 20 years or maybe like 17 years late. I'm just like, damn it.
Yeah, man. When you're a teenager before you can drive, a pocket full of quarters in an arcade, that's a good time. And there's a certain aspect to arcade going too, which I'm sure you'll discover when you go to the barcade with Sammy. It's not just sitting there playing arcade games. It's you play an arcade game and then you talk with the person that you're there with, and it becomes a communal experience. It becomes a shared experience. Like, oh, what, you know, you talk about, oh, this game is hard, I don't like it, and well, let's go try that one, and it becomes sort of a socializing aspect. And then they, oh well, let me see if I can do better, and then they take their turn and they destroy your score, and you're like, oh, I suck, you know, whatever.
Oh, you get real salty about that.
No, don't get salty, because I guarantee.
No, I'm just kidding. It's just like that's how some gamers are now. They're just like the salty type. I think the closest thing I had to that was when growing up was Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. Mm-hmm. That was like, there was like a little social hub for that. I would go there, I'd do with all the kids. I think like 3 different middle schools went to this location. There was a tournament held one time. That was the closest I got to like having that kind of experience without the arcade.
Yeah, no, very similar. I played Magic the Gathering. I had quit CCGs before Yu-Gi-Oh came out personally, but yeah, I totally understand. No, for me, I had already been going to those gaming stores because I was into Dungeons and Dragons at a very early age. So I was very comfortable in that environment. And when Magic the Gathering started to pick up and they started making room on their counters where there used to be the Dungeons and Dragons newest books, and all of a sudden they were gone and it was the cards were in the shelves. Like, oh, you can buy just this rare card for $10. Yeah. I never really got into Pokemon, never got into Yu-Gi-Oh! I think it was just Magic the Gathering was really my only CCG.
You know, I don't know how I got into Yu-Gi-Oh! Either. I was into Pokemon for a little bit in elementary school. I don't know how that worked out either. But I do remember, actually, this is horrible, that one of the benefits of Yu-Gi-Oh! We had this math teacher towards the end of the year who was just really tired of all of us middle schoolers. And we're kind of like just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. And he's like, guys, do the work on the board. And I somehow managed to convince him that Yu-Gi-Oh! Is good for math reasons. Like, this is beneficial for mathematics. And he's just like, go ahead, go play your Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards.
So speaking as a teacher, I can tell you I've been in that position. It's not that you convinced him. It's just he just didn't fucking care. Like,
yeah.
Just do it. Fine.
It's math. And he got away with that when the principal walked in, too. It was like, it's math.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that they're constantly pushing in the education field is trying to tailor your lessons and your education to the interests of the students. So, especially if he was just sick of dealing with it, and then the principal came in, and he's like, no, this fits my lesson plan. Yeah.
I wonder if that's, I wonder how far that's progressing, because I know when I was growing up, how, you know, they were handling academics for students wasn't the greatest way. It was just kind of like, shove this in your head and then keep it in your head, not really explore, and, you know, that really didn't benefit, like, I want to say, like, my age group of people. And now, like, I'm hearing that they're, you know, exploring different ways of, you know, academic teaching to, you know, not do that because they're realizing it's not a good way to teach kids. So, you know, I kind of hope they're doing that in New York City. I'm pretty sure other places, you know, just completely different.
Well, so substitute teaching, like I said, the kids at the one school I teach at, they're obsessed with Pokemon still, which amazes me. They couldn't believe that I knew what Pokemon is, so the next time I came in, I brought in some of my Pokemon cards that I have in storage. I was like, yeah, look, I got a foil Pikachu and a foil Charizard. And they're like, oh, that's a rare first edition. I'm like, yeah, because I got these when the game came out, but I don't play it. They're like, do you want to trade it? I'm like, no, shut up, don't touch. But one of the things was the third grade was learning fractions, right? And I convinced them that a great way to learn fractions would be to, everyone got a Pokemon card, and there was a kid who had hundreds in his backpack, and so he loaned one out to everyone, and we talked about the power levels of the card and how much energy it took to put the card into play, and we expressed that as a fraction, and then, you know, to convert the fraction back into a decimal point. And I said, no, now you can see mathematically why the cards have different power, why this card is really good and that card's really bad. And they're like, oh, this card has a lower number. I'm like, yeah, that's why it's a bad card. It doesn't have very good stats for how much it costs.
That's pretty amazing. See, I wish I had that kind of teaching.
Yeah. It really sunk into them. And as a substitute, I can't give them homework. But I said, why don't you do this? Why don't you, just as a fun homework assignment, take like 5 of your favorite cards and see what the power values are. And then take 5 of your least favorite cards and see what the power values are. And when you come in tomorrow, show your teacher what you did and say, yeah, Mr. Waite showed us how to do this.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Sorry about like the massive like chuckle that I just did. I just read what Gerald for Real just said. His last message just killed me.
Do you want to trade? Do you want to get a job, you filthy millennial? Oh, wait. Do you want to trade? Do you want to get a job, you filthy millennial? Mr. Rhev, I made. Get a job! Well, actually, an 8-year-old wouldn't be a millennial. Right?
No, I don't. No, I don't think so. What's the new generation called?
I forget the name of it already, but there is a name for them. I just don't remember what they are.
I never bothered.
Yeah.
It was just kind of like, my generation, like half of my generations are the ones that you just kind of like dangle your head down a little bit.
Yeah, so I've talked with this about this with Lassane a lot because she hates being called millennial, and I go, why? It doesn't mean anything. It does literally all it means is you were born between 1980 and 2000. That's it. That's all that means. That word means. She's like, well, people when they talk on the news, they're like, these millennials are ruining things. I'm like, so what? People say the same thing about Gen X. People said the same thing about baby boomer. Like, it doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, I guess I can understand that, but I can also understand the saying because all I have to say is if you get the chance to go to New York City, just walk into Williamsburg. You'll get triggered really fast.
Well, I mean, in fairness, millennials are ruining the country, so.
Yeah. I mean, you already got like 2 people triggered already. You got Sammy and you got Coyote who can't spell trigger.
Yeah, I know. No, he's saying triggered, which is literally the best thing that you can be.
Really?
I'm guessing you don't watch Parks and Recreation.
No, I did. It's just been a really... Trigger.
Chris Traeger, played by Rob Lowe. He is
yeah.
literally the greatest character on all of TV throughout history.
It's been so long since I've seen Parks and Recs. Holy smokes. I need to, like, watch that again. There's a lot of stuff I need to, like, rewatch.
Yeah, it's been like 2 hours since I watched an episode.
Oh, well then, you've certainly got me beat. I think it's been like a year or 2.
My wife and I, we like to rewatch it when we're having dinner. So we'll throw something on. And we don't necessarily watch it and then start it back over. You know, we'll watch that, then maybe we'll watch The Office and so on and so forth. But we just watched the episode where Anne has to tell Leslie that her and Chris are leaving Pawnee. So, dude, you haven't watched Stranger Things?
No, I have. I don't know where he's gotten that from. Because, like, one time on one of your streams, there was just, everyone was just playing Stranger Things music, and then he plays one, and then it plays, and I'm like, what is this? Why is Stranger Things, like, being meshed in with, like, that Suicide Squad song, Heathens? And I was like, who did this? And then Coyote was like, me? Like, all startling, and I'm like, listening to it, and I'm like, okay, I approve. But, no, I've seen Stranger Things. I mean, really, Coyote?
Okay.
Really?
I was going to say, we can no longer be friends. I've gotten to that point where I'm like, have you seen Stranger Things? And they're like, no, I haven't had a chance. I go, oh, do you have Netflix? Yeah, I've seen Stranger Things. I'm like, And you haven't watched it. Well, you have 1 week to start watching it or we are no longer friends. That being said, my wife still hasn't watched it and it drives me insane.
You got to sit her down. Just tie her down to, like, the couch real quick and just sit her down while, like, we're watching this. My favorite actor in Stranger Things is the officer.
Oh, Hop, yeah.
Yeah. I did feel bad for Samwise. I'm all I'm going to say about that.
You know what's funny is they almost didn't have, what's his name? Oh, God, I can't think of the actor's name.
We could just call him Samwise.
Yeah. Or Bob Newby,
Hobbit.
as he was on the show in Stranger Things 2. They almost didn't have him on because Stranger Things and Stranger Things 2 is a very 80s aesthetic. And especially in Stranger Things 2, they really hit the 80s pop culture references, the mid and early 80s pop culture references. And so that actor was in Goonies. And they thought, ooh, this might be too close to actually have an actor in Goonies in this, which is, in this show, which is so directly relating to these movies. But they decided to go with it. And then they actually even make a reference to it at one point when he comes in to the house and he sees all the drawings all over the walls and floors. And he finally figures out what it is. He goes, oh, it's a map. It's a map. And he goes, what's in the center? Is it pirate treasure? Like he does that. That's a direct reference to the Goonies when his character looks at the map and he goes like, "Oh, it's a map." And then, of course, in Goonies, what's at the center of the map is pirate treasure.
Yeah, no, it never clicked in my head. I knew about the
Sean Astin.
him being in the Goonies, but I didn't know that scene was a reference. It's just you know how some things just like completely just goes through your head. That was one of the moments.
I did Rev's Palaver with Night Strider, who's a member of the Proper Nerds community. She's the sidekick and boyfriend of Lady Ravenwood. And we just talked about Stranger Things for an hour straight. Mostly Stranger Things 2. And that's one of the things we talked about is how many little references there were to all of the 80s movies. And there was a lot. Like, one of my other favorite ones was in Stranger Things 2, Hop is running out of the tunnel, and he turns around like this and grabs his hat. Like, he turns around in a very specific way to grab his hat, as the exact same motion that Indiana Jones does.
I was just about to say that. Like, it just clicked in my head. Wow.
And it's just...
all that just flew by my head.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, there's no, like, they're not going like, look, here's an 80s reference. They're not making it very obvious. But if you catch it, it's like, yeah, that's so obvious to me since I caught it that that's exactly what they did. I think it's...
I'm going to have to watch this again.
Yeah.
The only thing, like, I was able to click was that Bob was the guy who founded the club that all of the kids hang out in.
The AV club?
That was the only thing, yeah, that was the only thing that clicked in my head. And then now I'm like, you're telling me all this, and I'm like, I'm ashamed of myself right now. I'm just like, I need to go watch this and, like, find all these references.
Yeah. Sammy mentions, Coyote mentions a favorite thing about Nathan Fillion was his performance in Dr. Horrible's sing-along vlog. I love that because I love Neil Patrick Harris too, so, you know.
I mean, Nathan Fillion is just great in everything. Like, you can't just point out just one thing. I think he's great in everything. Anything space theme related, I feel like.
Fair enough. By the way, I just watched
he's
a
in a
movie
bunch of
this
video
weekend
games.
with my sick wife called The Arrival. I watched on Amazon Video. If you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can watch movies there.
Oh yeah, I got the star.
If you like sci-fi, The Arrival, I give it a thumbs up. It's very slow paced, but really good. It's like the classic, like, oh, aliens land on Earth and everyone's in a panic, and you know, it's sort of this mystery type movie. It's hard to describe because it doesn't fit any one role real well, but it's really interesting.
I think those are the good kinds, is when, like, you try to explain it, but you really can't because it doesn't, like, it has multiple things, or it's just that unique that you can't put the right word on it. That's where, when people try to explain it to me, that's when I, like, go and look for it, because it's kind of like, you can't really tell me what it is, but you're saying it's good, so I need to go see what it's about so that I can, like, get this, you know, idea of what you're talking about, because...
Well, and the other thing is, part of it is I can't talk about it without giving away a massive spoiler.
Oh, that's right.
So there's
that's
also
right.
that. Like, to put it in context, you've seen the movie The Sixth Sense, right? The M. Night Shyamalan movie with Bruce Willis.
Sixth Sense. Yes, that... Oh, wow, that's old.
Yeah, that's an older one. So I can spoil that. But you know how when you realize at the end of the movie that Bruce Willis has been dead the entire time, you're like, oh my God, mind blown. And you have to go back and rewatch the whole thing because you feel like, well, now I have to go back and rewatch to see the movie in that context that I didn't have. That's the way The Arrival is like, after the entire movie is over, you're like, well, I have a different context for all the events that I did going into it, because you go into it sort of expecting one thing. And your prejudices sort of lead you to view the movie in a certain light. But then at the end of the movie, you're like, oh, I was thinking about this wrong. It's not 2 + 2 is 4. It's 3 + 3 is 6. And then you have to go back and watch the whole thing over again.
Gotcha. Yeah. That kind of reminds me of... this is also an Amazon original, The Man in the High Tower.
Dude, I've been meaning to watch that for so long. I've heard nothing but good things about that one.
It's amazing. I haven't seen season 2 yet because I was supposed to watch it with a friend, but like she just kind of fell off the face of the earth. So I'm just kind of like, I need to get on season 2 now. Like season 1 was just I can't explain it without giving spoilers
Yeah.
either. And I'm like, I was about to say something, and I was like, oh wait, Rhev hasn't seen it, and we're also doing a podcast.
Yeah, probably best not to spoil it for
Yeah, I almost
everyone.
forgot about that. I was like, oh, podcast. That's right. I'm looking at the I'm like, oh.
Yeah. I gotta watch that. I'll tell you another movie, amazing movie, if you like science fiction. It's called Primer.
Wow.
Yeah, write it down. Write it down. You want to watch Primer. This movie will wrap your brain into a pretzel, and you won't be able to get it out of your head. You'll watch it 3 or 4 times, and you'll still be like, I don't understand everything that's going on. Like, dude, it's one of the most confusing movies ever, and it's amazing. It's so good. I'll say this now. It's a time travel movie, right?
Okay.
And so it deals with all this like time travel paradox, but it's set in like current day, like Las Vegas or something. It's just, but it's not like time travel like they go back, to ancient Rome. It's like they go back to yesterday. You know what I mean? And
yeah, no, I think I understand. I think I can get like a grasp on it.
And of course, Memento. Villa mentions Memento. If you haven't seen Memento, that's one of my like top 3 favorite movies.
I probably have seen Memento. One of the downsides to me is I'm a derp, so I kind of like see a bunch of things and then like I'll forget because I'm just like, just in and out, or like it's just stored in the back of my brain and I'm just like consuming more information randomly. I don't know. So Momentum sound very familiar.
So it's got Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, who was Trinity in The Matrix, and 1 or 2 other smaller actors whose names wouldn't mean much to you. It's about a guy who has a traumatic brain injury and he can't form new memories. It's really good. You'll have to trust me. But Memento is one of my favorite.
I'll probably have to rewatch it. Kind of funny how I was just talking about how like I'm forgetting things and everything just goes to the back of my brain. Just
Villa says Memento is the movie about the guy who tattoos himself to remember things. That's the easiest way to describe it. So if that doesn't trigger anything in you, then you haven't seen it. Because he can't form new memories, he's constantly writing notes to himself, and then if it's things that he wants to remember forever, he gets it tattooed on his body.
Okay, I've not seen that then. Mm-hmm.
It's literally one of my, maybe not top 3, definitely top 5. But one of the things that's interesting about it is that movie almost ruined. The main actor, his name is Guy Pearce. That almost ruined his life. He almost killed himself after that movie. He was like badly addicted to drugs at the time that he was doing the movie. He was like doing coke, and his marriage failed because, whatever. So after that movie, he checked into rehab, and he didn't do anything for a while in terms of acting while he rebuilt his marriage. It's kind of an interesting story. And then he came out and said how bad things had gotten, and he was very open about it. So it's kind of cool.
Just because it wasn't like the cause of the movie or anything like that. It was just that was going on while he was in the movie.
It was more that his fame had gotten to the point where he just got sucked into the Hollywood culture, and he's Australian, so like his family was back in Australia as he's working in LA, and it wasn't that movie specifically, but
right. It just reminded me of the Dark Knight with Heath Ledger. So that's why I was like asking that. I was like, did they go out the same way?
I used to say, oh, The Dark Knight. You mean the last good DC movie, the last good movie that DC ever made? But then they made Wonder Woman, so Wonder Woman ruins it. Wonder Woman was amazing, dude. You didn't like Wonder Woman?
No, I'm trying to compare. I'm trying to compare it right now.
Every movie DC has made, other than Wonder Woman, has been garbage.
No, I agree, but like The Dark Knight and then Wonder Woman, I can't, like, the scales are just even in my eyes. I'm just like, I can't.
Yeah. I was about to say Wonder Woman, except for how Mars looked. I like your vape. Oh, thank you, Matt. I was so ready to just skip Wonder Woman altogether, but then someone else saw it, probably Bex, and she's like, oh my god, it's so good. And Bex is a DC fangirl, so I was like, like, she was like, no, Man of Steel was good. And I go, well, now I can't trust your opinion on anything. But
Man of Steel was interesting. I wouldn't say good. It was very interesting. I saw. This is funny. I keep going back to South Korea. On the plane coming back to the States, Wonder Woman was on one of the feature movies to watch on the plane, and sitting on a plane for 14 hours straight. It was just I just clicked on it. I didn't want to watch it at first, but it was just like I got nothing else to do because they've had a bad record ever since The Dark Knight.
yeah, I thought Man of Steel was terrible. I'll just answer real quick to Matt's coworker. I mix my own juice, so it's a berry and icy flavor. So I call it icy berry, but I mix all my own juice. It's a combination of harvest berry, blackberry, blueberry, raspberry, and like a really strong wintergreen. So I call it icy berry. You know what? One of the things that hooked me about Wonder Woman, though, was right early on, I saw Robin Wright. I'm like, okay, if Robin Wright is in it, it's got to be at least decent. So Robin Wright, probably currently best known for her work as Claire Underwood in House of Cards. But
yeah, okay. I just clicked it.
Also, Princess Buttercup in in Princess Bride. You remember Princess?
No, I don't think I've seen Princess Bride.
And that's the end of this call. Click.
There's just Princess Bride is that a Tim Burton movie?
No, it's an old 80s movie, and it's one of the best kids movies ever made. It's one of the best children's movies ever made. It's unbelievable. It's fantastic. It's a must watch. Princess Bride. Write it down. That's homework.
I'm gonna actually look at it.
Yeah, Princess Bride,
That's
Primer,
homework.
and Memento. Those are your three. That's homework for you. Villa's like he never noticed that. You never noticed that Claire Underwood was also Princess Buttercup? Come on, dude. Robin Wright. She's so good.
Oh no, I've seen Princess Bride. It's just been so long. Like I'm looking at the pictures right now. Like I recognize these. I just don't remember anything about the movie because it's like,
Yeah, I get it. It's been a while since you saw it. I'm a big movie.
I'm looking at them right now.
Well, see, I grew up in Buffalo, and Buffalo equals snow. So there are times winter comes on and you get your dad to drive you to Blockbuster Video. This is going back. How long it goes back? And
I remember
you get
Blockbusters.
3 or 4 tapes and you watch those over the weekend. So, yeah.
Yeah, what Coyote said. I was a baby. I was small.
He was small.
Small.
And if Coyote is an expert at one thing, it is smallness. Coyote is a small.
Shots fired. I think I'm like the same height as Coyote, or at least I got an inch on him.
I gotta tell you something. I don't look. Well, I literally look down on people who are small, but not figuratively look down on you. I obviously literally do, but not figuratively. I feel bad. Being tall is awesome. It's just so good. It's just the best. Sorry.
I know I'm not supposed to do that.
I used to be I used to be 6'4". I'm down to 6'3". As you get older, you start shrinking a little bit. So sucks.
I was originally supposed to be 6 foot tall, and then didn't listen to my mom about the slouching, and I developed a small thoracic scoliosis, and it was like, oh, your growth's gone.
Sorry, I'm just was answering someone in chat with something.
Oh, of course, no problem.
Listen, we are getting close to running out of time. The Rhev Palaver, it goes pretty quick when you're having fun. It tends to fly by, but hopefully you had fun. Is there anything else you want to talk about or bring up before we sort of run out of time here?
No, not really, actually. I just noticed the time now too when you're mentioning it. I'm like, oh wow, there's 3 minutes left, and no, not really. I just enjoyed the podcast. I was expecting it to be a lot more nervous than I was, but I just enjoyed it.
That's right, dude. Everyone says that. Everyone's like, "Oh, I'm so nervous to be on your podcast." I'm like, "Why?" It's just 2 people just bullshitting for an hour. It's nothing. I've been nervous when I've interviewed a couple people, like game developers. I've had the immense luxury to interview game developers for 2 of my favorite games.
Dungeon I I've never played the game, but I know it's your favorite, and the guy's username was the game
Yeah,
name, right?
Dungeon Mans.
Yeah, and then he gave
he's on Play Dungeon Mans. And then I also was able to talk to one of the developers from Gamiest Games. They made Turmoil, which is one of my favorite games ever. So yeah, I mean, when I'm sitting there and I'm talking to them, and I'm like, so nervous. I'm so excited. I love your game. But I mean, otherwise, there's no reason to be nervous. And if you ever want to feel good about yourself, just go back and watch Lasane's first time on the Palaver.
That's the third time I've caught you saying that on the Palaver. Just watch Lasane's.
Yeah. She was funny.
Yeah, I remember that. I actually went to go see it, and I saw how awkward she was, and I was just like, oh man, that's going to be me.
But you've been on 2 of the drinking streams now. So you're
you're
used
but
to
like it loosens you up. It loosens you up a little bit, though.
Yeah. Maybe that's what I should do. Just anyone I'm going to have on the Palaver, tell them they've got to be on a drinking stream first. And be like, yeah, because once you drink with me, you'll understand how it goes.
Yeah. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to end the stream, and we're going to drop a host bomb on someone, so everyone should stick around and make sure that you stick around for the raid, because that's what we do in the Proper Nerds. We like to make sure we're showing our love. But hopefully, you don't know how we end our Palavers, because it's always more fun when the guest doesn't know. We're going to do a thing. We're going to say goodbye. We're going to drop a raid bomb. All right? So, everyone here, please stay tuned for the raid. If you haven't already, make sure you go over to twitch.tv/InkyTHZ. Toss them a follow. Also, while you're at it, if you are not already following the communities Prepare for the Mediocre and Proper Nerds, you can find them down below in the blah, 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 blah. Make sure you're following those, and you'll be able to see great streamers like myself and like Inky and several other amazing, amazing people. And, so what we're going to do is we're going to do this thing, say goodnight, and then drop the host. And the way we end every Rev's Palaver is I like to give my guest the last word.
Okay. That's all, folks. I don't have a carrot.
That's all, folks. Good night, everyone. We'll see you later.
Human music. I like it.